The Alameda County DA's office is now reviewing 35 different death row cases. DA Pamela Price says a federal judge ordered the review due to possible misconduct from former prosecutors. Ann Makovic is in the newsroom with more on these allegations. Ann?
Yeah, Liz, this all centers around notes found in case files that appear to show prosecutors discriminating against Jewish and Black jurors. Take a look. This note said banker question mark Jew. And in two other notes, prosecutors wrote Jewish about other potential jurors and also wrote no way, must kick, too risky. This note says one of the jurors candidates is pro-affirmative action, and the prosecutor wrote, quote, says race is no issue, but I don't believe her. And in this one, prosecutors wrote short, fat troll in their description of a potential juror. Here's Price when she made the announcement in April.
The evidence that we have uncovered suggests plainly that many people did not receive a fair trial in Alameda County, and as a result, we have to review all of the files to determine what happened.
Price says the first red flag surfaced in the case of Ernest Dykes. He is currently on death row for the 1995 murder of 9-year-old Lance Clark and the attempted murder of his grandmother, Bernice. A victim services advocate says revisiting these cases could be hard on families who have already lived through criminal trials.
My heart goes out to the victims associated with those cases. I'm sure they endured a long process to even get to where they are and get a conviction. And I believe probably with all their hearts, they believe that they had some finality and could move forward. So I'm sure this must be devastating news.
The DA's office has advocates who are assigned to help victims and witnesses in these cases. No timeline, though, on how long these reviews will take. Liz.
Ann, thanks so much. The California Department of Corrections says there are currently 640 people on death row. The last execution in the state took place in 2006. Governor Newsom issued a moratorium on the death penalty back in 2019. He also closed the execution chamber at San Quentin. Meanwhile, San Quentin is undergoing a transformation of its own. It's been renamed the San Quentin Rehabilitation Center. The new name is all part of Governor Gavin Newsom's effort to empty death row and focus on rehab, education, and job training. Still ahead, how likely is it that any of these death row cases will be overturned? A criminal justice professor from Cal State East Bay joins us live to weigh in. Welcome back. Today we are digging into a federal judge's order requiring Alameda County to review 35 death penalty cases. Joining me live now is Dr. Lisa Hill, a criminal justice professor at Cal State East Bay. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to be here.
So what's the likelihood that these death row cases will be overturned, do you think?
Well, when cases go to appeal for review, the appellate court has three options. Once they review the case, they can decide to affirm the lower court's decision. They can modify the decision or reverse the decision. Errors that result from prosecutor error increase the chances of winning an appeal.
So how prevalent is the issue of prosecutorial misconduct? Is there a bigger issue at play here?
Well, the data shows that in about 20% of the cases, especially death penalty cases, go up on appeal. Now, of course, that doesn't sound like a high number, but when you think about the fact that we're talking about people, we're talking about souls that have been prosecuted and sentenced to death, that number feels even larger.
And California has not executed anyone since 2006, yet hundreds still sit on death row. Do you see a need for some criminal justice reform in the wake of that?
Absolutely. The data associated with death penalty cases are alarming, especially when you look at disproportionality. In California, we have about 2,000, actually 500 cases on death row. And a large percent of those cases are African Americans. California has one of the highest death penalty sentencing, in the country.
So, what do you make of this recall effort against Pamela Price? If she loses her job, do you think this is going to solve the issues of law and order in Oakland?
Well, it may be contrary to what at least the campaign that DA Price is running. She's looking at reforms in the criminal justice system. These numbers, the data that shows this disproportionality of persons of color, specifically Black people that are on death row, it begs for looking at those cases to try and determine why do we have this large gap. And it's not just in death penalty cases, it's across the criminal justice system. As you move into the criminal justice system, the disproportionality gets larger.
I'm curious, so back to the recall election, have we seen in the past that recall elections can result in massive changes, both good and bad, with cities? Do they work?
Well, I haven't looked at the data on that, but this recall effort, which again, understandably so, I think it's being driven by the emotion that people are fed up with crime.
Mhm.
They're scared. Businesses are losing money and they're closing. So people are. This is a fear factor. So it's understandable. Unfortunately, um, it's not really the DA's issue. Crime is not really a DA's issue. They come in just like law enforcement after the fact. I think it's a larger issue. It's a social issue that's driving these high rates of theft.
So you think that she's being unfairly blamed for all this?
Again, I think it's emotion.
Mm.
I think there's a lot of emotion, and people don't like change. And she's coming in with this idea that she wants to do system change and reform. And, it's untimely because it's during a time when crime rates are really high and people are scared. So they're not really looking at long-term solutions, which is what DA Price is advocating for. They want something in the here and now. And most people believe that long sentences and high jail rates and prison rates that will impact recidivism rates. But the data does not show that. Long prison terms do not decrease recidivism rates. It just marginalizes people, and sometimes it has the reverse effect.
All right, Dr. Lisa Hill, thanks so much for joining us today. And still ahead, what happens next in the recall effort against DA Pamela Price and what she is doing to try to keep her job?
Thanks for watching. You can get the latest headlines and weather over on Pix Plus. And remember to like and click the button on the bottom left of your screen to subscribe for the biggest Bay Area news.